So when I retired the first time in 2017, Burroughs was the only current, like, we'll say, really elite level wrestler that I'd never trained with. I was really good friends with the Nebraska head assistant coach, still am.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, I'm going to pay my own way. I want to come down and train with Jordan because I want to see what it feels like. You know, I want to get in there and mix it up. I mixed it up with David Taylor and Kyle Dake. I mean, there's just something about wrestling that I love. And so I flew myself down there in January of 2018, and I spent 4 days training with Jordan. It was a really good time. It gave me some great insight into how he thinks and, you know, what a great champion he is.
What was it like training with him? Like, what can you give some insights?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Like how hard is the live training? Is it more drilling? Is it technical? Like, how does it seems like his style is very different than yours. So how does that match up in the room in terms of like what you learn from each other, that kind of thing?
We only went full live for one, I think it was like a 12 or 15 minute go where it was just go wrestle. We did a bunch of simulated live, but obviously he had, so I was a senior in college when he was a freshman in Nebraska. And so our teams had dueled each other. He was obviously a lot smaller at that point in time. But he had followed my career. And so when I went in there, it was like, hey, I know you're really good at this position. What about this position? What are you trying to do? How exactly does it work? And then let's wrestle there, you know? And then, hey, what about this position? And so, you know, we would spend 30 to 40 minutes talking about that position.
On the ground or?
It was like, one was a chest wrap, one was a headlock, one was, I don't even remember, we call it the lightning dump, but it's
the lightning dump?
Yeah, my buddy's name was Lightning Luke Smith in high school, and he was the first person I saw do it. So usually when I see someone do something, then I name that move after them.
Got it.
I know, right? Great name.
It's a good name.
So, but so what I said with that is like, okay, he was still trying to be the best in the world. I was just trying to go work out Jordan Burroughs because I enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Is like someone who at that point, when he has 5 world titles 4 or 5 at that point, a lot. And so I use it with my high school kids. It's like, hey, this is a guy who's the best in the world, who's bringing someone in and saying, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? What about this? What about that? And so the level of inquisitiveness, that's a hard word, inquisitiveness he has is really impressive. And then it's obvious why he got to the level he did, because he's figuring out all these little situations. And that's honestly one of the biggest things I think a lot of wrestlers fail to do as they get older. Even when they get to early college age, they say, this is my style. This is what I do. I'm going to lift and work out hard, and I'm not going to add anything to my game. You know, whereas you've seen many progressions in Jordan Burroughs' game. He just made his 10th world team. And if you have a really keen eye, you've been able to watch him change. You know, so I've been watching him since 2007. He's changed so much, and obviously still maintained a world-class level almost the entire time.
When you say change, like what changed? Because he's got that double leg.
Yeah, but there's not good at double leg anymore.
What's that?
He hit his double leg for the first time against Alex Dearden. He hadn't hit it in years. Yeah, so that's like when people think about Jordan Burroughs, they think about the double leg, because in his early years, he had a great double leg, right? And even in those years, I would say the biggest thing with Jordan Burroughs' double leg wasn't his level of explosiveness, it was his level of persistence. He would shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it would be from fun, creative angles and out of scrambles. Boom, all of a sudden he's on you, you know? And he was just super persistent with it. And I think that was probably the key. And then you saw, you know, when he came out to won the first world championships in 2011, it was kind of that type of mentality. And then shortly after then, obviously everyone was starting to lower their stance, getting lower. And he developed a really good, like, Mantis go behind series where he would go one way, the other way. Then he started developing a really good, like, low single ankle pick type thing, you know? And then his hand fighting got really tremendous, like 15, 16, 17. His hand fighting was really good. And now I just commented at the 21 trials, like, a few of the defensive sequences he got into, it's like, holy shit. Like, just not from an athletic standpoint, but from a technical standpoint, the things he were doing was just tremendous. So I've seen him as someone like who's continued to reinvent themselves over the course of the last 10, 12 years.
Especially as a junior and senior in college, you were exceptionally dominant.
Yeah.
If you were to face him at the peak, both of your peaks of NCAA wrestling, could you beat him? And if you can beat him, well, of course you can beat him.
Yeah.
How do you solve the Jordan Burroughs puzzle?
Well, so from a folk style wrestling standpoint.
Folk style, yes.
Folk style. So He had some competitive matches his junior and senior year. He had a 2-1 win over, or maybe it's 3-2 over Michael Chandler, who was my teammate, who's fighting the UFC now. He had a 2-1 win over Tyler Caldwell. So I think you can glean some insight into that. He got ridden. He got so mad about this up on a podcast. So during Corona, we had to make up all kinds of bullshit to talk about.
Yeah.
And we were doing like the last 10 years best 165s. Mm-hmm. And I said Kyle Dake would ride him for over a minute.
Oh, wow.
He got so mad he wanted to come on the podcast the next day. So hopefully he doesn't listen to this. He's like, fuck you, Ben. But,
when was this? This is during Corona.
Corona, last year. He got mad. We were talking about...
Before the trials.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, wow. Michael Chandler rode him for 2 minutes plus, and that was his junior year, not his senior year. Sure, right? But it's close. So I think there's some things there. I think the interesting thing would be if I would have stuck around, right? So I chose to go into mixed martial arts after 2008. Mm-hmm. I would have been 74 and he would have been 74. So we would have had to wrestle. And then I think that the freestyle Jordan Burroughs puzzle is a lot more difficult to solve than the folk style Jordan Burroughs puzzle. And I think he would acknowledge that he's much better at freestyle than he was at folk style. Although he was very good, he's better.
This is like raw speed, explosiveness. Present a problem to you?
Well, so he was never. I mean, he didn't really excel on the mat in kind of either style. In freestyle, he has got some good lace transitions, but in folk style, in his entire college career, I think he has like 10 pins, mm-hmm. which is almost nothing, So he was gaining no value off the top position. He was good enough on most people to get off bottom without it being an issue, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is an area where we really have to be careful. There's a lot of things here. It's just he wasn't gaining value there. Whereas in freestyle, I don't want to say never, but the amount of times he gets turned is incredibly rare, very, very rare. And he does have like lace transitions, so he gets a lot of points there. So, and obviously freestyle it can be geared way more in the neutral position, right? Where we're only doing takedowns. So